the focus of our discussion is something to do with the module 4, and this is about the Philippine arts and what we call the Asian art. Nakapokus siya sa Philippine arts and the Asian art, no? So kung nakikita ninyo, so in our picture, sino yan? Si Wang Od, no? Si Maria Wang Od, no? Wherein she was known at present, no? As doing what we call yung tattoo, no? That tattoo is a kind of art, no? And yung sa kanya, it's traditional tattoo, not something to do with yung ginagawa sa commercialized, no? So, yun nga, as I mentioned, discussion natin for today, it's about the Philippine arts and what we call the other Asian arts, no? So, for the Philippine arts, no? So the focus of our discussion will be about the Philippine arts, something to do with the indigenous, Muslim, Christian arts, and the some well-known Filipino artists. And then followed by that is about a glimpse on the Asian art, like Chinese, Japanese, Indian, and others. Though the Indian, we already discussed that, no? When we talk about the Asian art. Kaya focus na lang natin, Chinese, Japanese, and the other one is the Korean art. Now, so when we refer to what we call the Philippine indigenous Muslim Christian art and the well-known Filipino artists. So in terms of indigenous art, this is the only known, no? Ito yung parang masasabi natin it's only in the Philippines, no? Or something na tayo lang meron yan, no? So it's an indigenous. So are you familiar with this one? So this one is what we call the bulul, or rather, yeah, or what we call the uh, not the bulul. This is something to do with the Mamunggol jar, di ba? So this Mamunggol jar is one of the known indigenous art in Palawan, no, Philippines. It was discovered in 1962 by Dr. Robert B. Fox and Miguel Santiago. So that means as early as during the primitive time, so ginagamit na yan, no, yung Mamunggol jar, no, na-mention ko bulul, yung kasunod pala yung bulul, no. This jar, as somehow, no, na parang inanalyze siya, it's already 2,800 year old. So ganun nakatagal, no? It's considered as one of the national treasure of the Philippines. So that means, so kung 2,800 years old na yan, so katagal na, no? So anong year na ba tayo ngayon? 2021. So that is as early as ano pa, no? Before the Christian era pa nag-exist na. At ibig sabihin din, may tao na pala sa Pilipinas in that year, no? Particularly in Palawan. Usually, this is a kind of jar, no? Or what we call yung tapayan, no? And tapayan, of course, dati mayroong ganyan, no? Na ginagamit natin. Ilalagyan yan ng tubig, no? Sa Kapampangan, tinatawag oya, no? And then meron pa siyang parang faucet na doon lumalabas yung tubig, no? Yun ang oya. And I think if you visited kapag Marangle, merong ganun, no? Na it's tapayan, no? So probably in Palawan, no, this Mamunggol jar, it's not used as a tapayan, no, but rather or so water container, but rather it is used as a burial jar, no, wherein the Tabon people, no, or the people in the Tabon Palawan, the Tabon cave, no, wherein they buried or put their death, no, or the remain of the death in this tapayan, no, ganun siya. So it is used by ancient people of Palawan, no, in burying their deaths. So that's around 890 to 700 BC or before the Christian era pa, BCE, no, as I mentioned a while ago. Kasi yung tanda niyan, it's already 2008 years old, no. Okay, so probably, as you can see, yung takip niya, no, it pictures a vessel na mamangka, no, carrying two human figure sitting in the position with one behind steering the boat and the other waiting to reach the afterlife, no. So parang kung ipo-focus natin, ganyan siya, yan, no. So may dalawa nakasakay sa bangka, yung isa nagsasagwan, yung isa nasa harapan. No, parang yung isa parang inaatid niya, no. So probably, so yun ang kahulugan niyan, no. So yung life after death, so something na namamangka sila. Okay? So that's the Mamunggol jar as one of our indigenous art or in terms of pottery in the Philippines. Now, another thing na somehow that we can find only in the Philippines or something na matagal na siya sa Pilipinas, it's what we call the bulul, no, or the bulul. Yan. And I think if you visited Baguio, maraming ganyan sa Baguio, no? So, familiar naman kayo dyan, no? And sometimes it is used as a souvenir, no? Yan. So, the bulul or bulul is a curved anito. Yan, no? So, originally, pinaniniwalaan siya is a kind of anito, no? Figure of an Ifugao who represent their ancestral spirit and the granary god. So, kilala din siya as the god of granary or tagabantay siya no ng imbakan ng ano siya yung god of granary no. So the bulol was created by a deity known as Humidhid who lives in Daya no. So si Ambato Campo in 2016 parang gumawa siya ng research about this one eh. And then he found out that this bulol yung meron siyang ano parang myth or kwento no na linikha daw sa ni Humidhid na nakatira sa Daya. Kaya lang anong nangyari no? Yun nga no, this bull was made of nara tree and commonly seen in Baguio City as the summer capital of the Philippines no. Traditionally, the bulul no, traditionally no, yung bulul was placed in a granary to protect the food from any intruders. Yun talagang purpose ng bulol, no? Parang kung sa palayan, meron tayong tinatawag na scarecrow. So, sa mga imbakan ng pagkain, merong bulol, no? So, yung myth nito, si Humidhid, no? Kumuha siya ng nara tree and then i-curve, no? Kinerve niya itong si bulol. Kaya lang, nung kinerve niya si bulol, no? Parang may buhay siya. Nagkaroon siya ng buhay, no? And then later on, nung nagkaroon siya ng buhay, so inimbak siya sa granary nga. And then, nakita ni Humidhid, ang lakas nilang kumain, no? So what Humidhid did, tinapon, no? Tinapon niya sa ilog. Then later on, nung tinapon niya sa ilog, may nakapulot, no? And that was the time na na-create na yung tinatawag na bulul. That is the myth behind this, what we call bulul or bulul, no? Asan Anito. Okay? So prominent yan in Benguet or in Baguio, no? Or what in the mountain province. Okay? From Bulul, of course, we have also what we call this kind of bench, no? Ng mga upuan na tinatawag na hagapi. Again, it is also found in the northern part of the Philippines, like in Ifugao, no? So hagapi is a kind of wooden bench of Ifugao that symbolizes a social status, no? The agabi is usually owned by that kadagnayan or people who belong to the higher class in the society. That means kapag meron kang ganyan, yung status mo sa lipunan ay nasa mataas, no? You are in the higher class post. Okay? And the vents or the agabi, somehow it served as a symbol of power, prestige, wealth, social status among the tribes of the Ifugao. No? So yan ang agabi. No? Historical din yung agabi. No? Now, from the agabi, of course, we have what we call the sari manok, no? One of the Filipino national artists, no, na award, si Dr. Adulman Asya Imaw or Dr. Imaw, no? So ito yung gawa niya na sari manok made of bronze, no? And ano naman yung sari manok? Okay. So the sari manok is a legendary bird that has become an ubiquitous symbol of the Maranao art, no? Parang if you go in Maranao, no, in Lanao del Norte, that's the place where in the Maranaoyan, no, or the Maranao are living, no. So maraming ganyan, no. It is depicted as a fall with color wings, no, and feather-tailed, holding a fish on its beak, or what we call the talons, yan, no. Pero dito di masyadong nakikita. The head is profusely decorated with scroll, leaf, and spiral motifs. It is said to be a symbol of good fortune. So, yun ang paniniwala nila. Symbol of good fortune as an messenger of Allah or Allah's messenger. And then, of course, it's also, this one is also done, no, to commemorate or to remember the daughter of Sultan of Lanao, no, na si Sari. Kaya siguro tinawag na Sari Manok, no. So this wooden figure usually perched atop a bamboo pole, stand among the decorative flags during the weddings and other festive occasion. Okay? So yung kwento naman behind this, the myth behind the Sari Manok, so yung anak ni Sultan of Lanao, no, si Sari, what we call this one, there is what we call a deity or a god na in love sa kanya, no. And this deity or this god, no, na in love kay Sari, palagi siyang pag nagpakita siya in a form of manok, no, parang ganoon, no. It's in the form of like Sari manok, no, or a manok, no, or a chicken, in the form of a chicken. And then one time, no, bigla-bigla nawala yung manok, at the same time si Sari. So they believe na sinama siya ng God na umiibig sa kanya. Now, to remember Sari, no, his father, the Sultan of Lanao, so told its people to create this one. Kaya nagkaroon ng Sari Manok. Okay? So yun yung kwento, no? Now, from Sari Manok, of course, we have these different houses, no? So, kung makikita nyo, sa ano din yan, Lanao. As you can see, nandyan yung symbol ng Sari Manok pa rin, no? So, what do you call this one? These are the different houses, no? Or traditional house that is found in Lanao del Sur or Lanao, no? Or yung mga Maranao, no? So, we call this house as the Torogan, no? Torogan is a traditional house of the Maranao royalties, yung mga may kaya, is no shelter of the Sultan who lives with his wives, children, and servant. The house is likewise used for community gathering and affairs, and it's also known as a powerhouse. Ito, no? Kilala as powerhouse, no? Now, in Maranao or Lanao in Maranao, there are three types of traditional shelter, no? Which are the Torogan, home reserved for the novelties, and then the Malaawalay, this referring to the big house, yung nasa gitna kanina, and the Lawig, which refer to the small house, no? So yun ang classification nila. And the Torogan, of course, yung kanyang symbols of what we call na being what we call rich or belong to the novelties, no, or nobility, sorry. Okay, so this is example, no. So kung titignan nyo, parang napakasimpleng bahay lang yan, no, but for the Maranao, ano na yan, parang pinaka-mansion na nila, no. So if we look at this house, may kanya-kanya siyang part. Yung tukod, ito, no? So, supporting the house, naka-elevate siya, di ba? So, there are yung mga posts, tinatawag yan na tukod, no? Parang tungkod lang, no? Or tukod. And then, parang kapampangan din, no? In the middle, tinatawag yan na tapuwilin, no? Yung parang supporting in the middle. That's the tapuwilin. Now, since it's open, no, dyan, sa ilalim niya, usually dyan ginagawa yung mga other gatherings or mga occasion, yun ang tinatawag na dorong, no? Dorong, yung nasa ano niya, yung nasa pinakaibaba, the open space of this Torogan, tinatawag na dorong. Now, yung second floor niya, sa loob yan, no? Tinatawag niya na poru, no? That's the second floor. And the what we call the, anong tawag nito, yung dingding niya, tinatawag siyang gisok and tartek, no, this one they call it, that's the gisong and the tartek. And of course the upper portion, no, yung parang pinaka-support niya dito, pinaka-beam niya, tinatawag siyang tinal-awalay, no. And yung bintana niya, tinatawag siyang rowasan, sliding window yan, the rowasan, no. From the rowasan, meron siyang pinto, the door they call it as paitaw, no. And then from the paitaw, yung pinakataas nito, yung dito, no, tinatawag niya na yung bubong niya, atok, parang atik, no. And then of course, yung parang pinaka-atik niya, tinatawag siyang diogal. And from the diogal, yung design na to, from here, na parang may design na ano, tinawag niya na panolong. Yung panolong, meron siyang ochre, no. Yan, no, may ochre. And when we talk about ochre, this one, no. So in Maranao and some other place in Mindanao, no? So somehow ito yung parang traditional art na ginagawa nila at yung bahay nila may ganyan, ayan, no? So as you can see, kung titignan mo ano ba yung purpose ng yan, no? So decorative siya, no? And this is known as ochre. The ochre, sometimes yung design niya may parang sari manok like this one, and other are parang snake naman, no? Serpent. Okay? So this is the turogan, no? Turogan, no? Parang tulugan, no? And wala siyang ano, wala siyang rooms, open siya sa gitna. It was only divided by a curtain, no? Ganun siya. That's the Turogan. Now, from the Turogan, of course, let's go to the northern part sa Abra, no? So, of course, as you can see, so these are made of bamboo, no? So these are bamboo product. So this one, the Tingyan, no, or the people in Abra na tinatawag na Tingyans, so they are very what we call this one, they are doing certain crop which are made of bamboo. Kaya tinatawag yan Tingyan's bamboo crop. And of course, very popular din sa kanila yung paggawa ng ano ng dye, no? Are some of the tribes of what we call Abra, no? The Tingyans also they are called as Sneg, no? Sinitawag ng Sneg, are the indigenous island people of Abra who are known for their bamboo crops and natural dye makers, no? The various bamboo crops of Abra lead to position itself to be the bamboo capital of the Philippines. No, yun pala, no. So kung nasa in terms of what we call no as kung yung Pampanga kiniklaim natin that we are the food capital or what, and of course the Christmas capital in the Philippines, the Abra are claiming also as the bamboo capital of the Philippines, no. And claiming the bamboo capital of the Philippines of Abra celebrated its annual Abrinian Kawayan Festival, no, which is done on the 6th to 9th day of March, no. So yun, no. So yun ang mga tingyan. And of course, pwedeng sabihin natin, we can claim this is sa mga traditional or indigenous artwork or indigenous art in the Philippines, no. And then we have, of course, now let's move to the Christian, no. So when we talk about Christian art, so probably who introduced Christian art are the Spaniard, no? Kasi in the beginning or during the pre-colonial, wala pang ganyan, no? But when the Spaniard came in the 1500s, no, or 1521 to be exact, no? So nagkaroon na tayo ng this kind of art na tinatawag nating retablo, and then the building of different churches, no? So ito yung nakikita nyo, nasa exhibit yan, no, sa San Agustin Church. And this one, these are the different angels, no, the retablo of what we call, if you visited All Angel Chapel, yun yan, no? All Angel University, yung chapel niya. So Christian art in the Philippines, so probably the early Christian art or religious art in the Philippines are found on the old churches built by the Spaniard from 17th to 16th century, no? These religious images are curved wooden saint or the santos made by unknown artists. Of course, sa atin sa Pampanga, prominent yung Betis, no? Or known. The retablo of the art of peace, yung left picture, is one of the religious art found on the different churches in the Philippines, which reflected the intricacy and detailed design during the Baroque period, no? So probably it reflects, no, yung mga Baroque church or during the Baroque period, if you remember, no? So we have what we call the Mannerism, then from Mannerism we have the Baroque period, and then the Baroque we have the Romanticism. So probably the churches were in the Philippines were created during the Baroque period. Kaya yung design, nasa Baroque period sila, no? Okay, moving on. So among the churches, no, wherein they were built during the Baroque period are the following, no? Una yung yung Santo Tomas de Villanueva in Miangao, Iloilo. Ito yan, no? Napaka-old na, no? So if you are Catholic, so probably yan, no? Kaya kung nagkakaroon ng earthquake, sila unang nasisira kasi they are more than 500 years, no? Yung mga yan. Kaya, di ba, we celebrated the coming of the Spaniard in the Philippines or the introduced Christianity 500 years na. Ngayon, no? Kasalukuyan kasi 1521, now 2021. And then we have the San Agustin Church in Pawai, no? Oh, sorry, yung spelling yan, Pawai. may A, Ilocos Norte, yan naman siya, no? So, kung binild yan nung 16th century, hanggang ngayon nandiyan pa rin. Then, from Pawai, we have the San Agustin Church in Intramuros, Manila, and one of the oldest, no? And if you go in Intramuros and then go in San Agustin Church, ganyan siya, no? And at the upper part niyan, merong bamboo organ, yung loft, no? Merong bamboo organ din doon. And of course, museum din siya, no? Wherein, if you are familiar with Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, yung kanyang remain or yung kanyang dito siya nilagak or dito siya nilibing, no? And other priests and other Spaniard, nandyan sila, no? In what we call San Agustin Church in Intramuros, Manila. And then we have also the Nuestra Señora de la Asunción in Ilocos Norte. And of course, we have the Nuestra Señora de Gracia Church in Makati City. And of course, yung Our Lady of Remedy Church in what we call in Malate, Manila. Okay, so those are different old churches. No, now from this, we have also the Church of in Antipolo, no, Parish Church of San Ildefonso, rather, sorry, in Tanay Rizal, no, so one of the oldest, no. Kaya lang dito parang medyo nakapangit yung background na may court, no. Pero old church, Baroque church. And then of course in Pampanga, one of the Baroque church being recognized is what we call the Port Church of Santiago Apostol in Betis, Pampanga, yan, no. And napakaganda. No, if you ito yung Betis Church, sa loob niyan, kung yung Sistine Chapel na painting ni Michelangelo, so wherein Michelangelo painted the Bible story from Genesis to the New Testament in what we call in Betis Church, no, or in the Parish Church of Santiago de Apostol, no, or Apostol, meron din ganon, no. So as you can see, the altar, it's made during the Baroque period. Okay. Now from the churches, of course, we move to the Muslim art, no. So the Muslim or Islamic art in the Philippines is characterized by the design of flowers, platform, and geometric design, no. Ganyan lang siya, no. Simple siya. So kumbaga kung ita-classified natin in terms of what we call style, so nasa minimalism siya, no. It is used in calligraphy, architectural painting, clothing, and other form of arts as early in the 13th century, no. So probably traders and missionaries, they introduced the religion Islam in the Philippines, and Islamic art integrates with the ethnic culture which paved the way the Filipino Muslim art, no. So kung titingnan natin, Muslim art or Muslim art is older than the Christian art kasi bago pa dumating yung mga Kastila in part of Mindanao or sa Mindanao, there is already a Muslim, no, meron na, no. So mas nauna kung if you talk about religion in the Philippines, no, mas nauna yung Muslim or Islam kaysa sa Christianity or what we call Catholicism. Kasi mas nauna yung mga Muslim dito sa Pilipinas kaysa sa mga when they rather than introducing the what we call Christianity or Catholicism by the Spaniard, no. So Islamic art are predominantly found in Muslim ethnic group where every group offer their own distinct flavor of Islamic art, no. Like in Sulu, may iba silang klaseng art, no. These distinct art are commonly seen in their homes, clothing, places of worship, and so on of the Filipino Muslim, no. So example are the following yan. Ito yung okir, no. So the Muslim also preserve this one, yung okir, no. Napakaganda, no, sa sculpture, no. And yung okir nga may kanya-kanyang design. Halimbawa dito serpent siya, yung pinakita ko kanina sari manok siya. And then of course different yung sa mga kung yung mga Catholic Church meron silang mga stained glass, here they have what we call also, no, yung parang design din ng okir, yan. Okay? Now, from the Muslim art, let's move to the well-known Filipino artists, no. Okay? So let's move to the well-known Filipino artists. Universe ko, binalik ko siya, okay? So who are the well-known Filipino artists, no? So probably even you are art, magaling kang sa art, no, or something, may potential ka sa art, or meron kang artwork. sometimes you are not recognized, no? And most of the people I will share with you, the well-known Filipino artists, are somehow they are recognized as Filipino national artists by the National Art Commission, no? Okay, first we have, are you familiar with this one? This is the brother of Antonio Luna, and this is Juan Luna, no? And this painting na nandito yung title niyan, yung Las Damas Romana, okay? Or the Maidens of Roms, no? So Juan Luna was born in 1857 and he died in 1899, no? So maaga rin siya namatay at age of 30 something, no? 32 something, no? Or no, 42, okay? He's a known Filipino visual artist, no? Who succeeded in art competition in Madrid, Spain. And its first winning art was the La Muerta de Cleopatra, awarded silver medal. Mamaya papakita ko yan, no? And at the Exposition Nacional de Bellas Artes, or what we call in Madrid, no? And of course, aside from La Muerta de Cleopatra, or the death of Cleopatra, is Ispolarium, no? Also a rather, so this one found in the picture that said later, no? Was awarded also 3 gold medals and garnered critical praise in 1884, no? And then in 1885, again, he painted the El Pacto de Sangre in Paris, or what called the Blood Compact, no, in Paris, France. And then later on, of course, in 1887, he returned in Madrid, Spain, and his painting, of course, one of his painting, yung La Batalla de Lepanto and the Rendición de Granada, wherein they claim a high price, or what we call the high praise. So this is what we call the painting of Juan Luna, depicting what we call the death of Cleopatra. No, ayan siya. Now, from this painting of the death of Cleopatra, no, so during the time, no, in June 24, 1884, they were honored by Dr. Jose Rizal, no, our national hero, because Luna won the first prize in its polarium, and then Felix Resurrection Hidalgo won the second place in what we call in painting the virgin populace exposed to what we call exposed to populace, no. Now, from Cleopatra, nagawa ni Juan Luna, another winning piece niya, ito ba yun, yung Spolarium, okay? So this is now found in the National Museum, no? We're in the, what we call this one, in the passage or yung entrance niya, sa unang ano pa lang, no? Nasa lobby siya. And believe it or not, malaki yan, no? It's a mural, no? Kasing laki yan ng isang room. Ganun kalaki yan, no? Kung yung what we call Spolarium. And this one, it's what we call the blood compact o yung pacto de sangre, wherein kung pagmamasdan nyo yung picture na yan, one of the character here, particularly si Katuna, do you know this is Rizal? No, wherein si Katuna, Rizal acted as a model of Rizal, no? So yan, and other friend of what we call when he painted this one, no? Another friend of Luna when they were in Paris, no? And in Cleopatra naman, Rizal, no, as a model of on the painting, he acted as the high priest, no? Okay, so this is one of the very controversial work of what we call Luna, no? Bakit? The title yan is The Parisian Life. So it was created around 1892. It's one of its many artwork of Juan Luna, which gained negative criticism because GSIS bought this painting worth 46 million pesos. Nasa 1990s yata yun, no? Around what year? I think I was in college when this one, no, na-anunsyo. Then, yun nga, no, parang yung masa o yung tao nag-react. Bakit ba naman binili yan na ganyang kamahal, no? Worth 46 million pesos. Now, so, sinong naalala niyo sa painting na to as regard to our discussion, no? So probably kung naalala niyo si Edward Monet, Claude Monet, so yung style, no, magkapareho kasi they are parang contemporary din sila ni what we call ni Juan Luna. Kaya yung style, they are somehow may pagka-impressionism and expressionism. Okay? Now, again, no, if you will look or if you will observe this one, no, may tatlong lalaki dito. Yan, no. Kaya lang medyo blurred yan. Pero kung hindi blurred yan, makikita mo sa mga tatlong ito, nandiyan si Rizal, at saka si Juan Luna and their other friend, no? Hindi ko na na-recognize kung sino yon. They are talking, no? They are talking, and of course, may mga kwento na they talk about the woman, no? So yan, no? So this is what I call the Parisian life. Okay? From Juan Luna, of course, we have Felix Resurrection Hidalgo, contemporary of Luna. And one of its masterpiece na or work na nanalo din during kasabay ng Scholar, yung second place ito, no, yung uh, Las Virgenes Exposice de Popules. Okay? So yan, no? So Felix Resurrection Hidalgo, also a known Filipino visual artist, contemporary Juan Luna, who has been awarded second place for its painting, yung Las Virgenes Cristianas Expuestas al Populacho or La Popules, during the Exposition Nacional de Bellas Artes, or what we call in Madrid, no? Kasabay yan yung kay Luna, no? He was acknowledged, or is acknowledged as one of the greatest Filipino painters of the late 19th century, and is significant in the Philippine history for having been acquaintance and inspiration member of the Philippine Reform Movement, no, kasama ni Luna, Rizal, Marcelo H. del Pilar, and so on. So among its work are the following, yan, yung La Barca, no? So yung La Barca, yan, or boat of Charon, or what we call the Charon's boat, the work was gold medalist during the Exposition General in de las Filipinas, no, International Philippine Exposition in Madrid. In 1889, an international jury made the painting a silver medalist during the Paris Exposition, a distinct recognition that no other Filipino painter had achieved at the major art arena in Paris. So kung si Luna na-recognize lang siya sa Madrid, siya pati sa Paris na-recognize siya. Remember yung Salon de Paris or Salon de Paris wherein they exhibit the art, no? So the painting also won another award, no, as a diploma of honor from what we call from 1891, no. Sorry, let me charge muna. Excuse me for a while. Okay, so yun, no. So it was awarded like what we call the painting of Juan Luna, no. Okay, so to continue, another work of Juan Luna, which is found now in what we call the certain museum, no. Ito, the murder of Governor General Fernando Manuel de Bustillo Bustamante y Rueda. Ayan, no. So makikita yan if you visited the San Agustin Church, nandun siya, no? Siya. And then the other one, sorry. So the other work is this one, no? What we call, this is referring to a woman, no? Crying lady or a crying woman, no? So isa rin sa mga work niya. Okay, moving on. And of course, I included Dr. Jose Rizal, no? Although hindi siya national artist, of course, he's our national hero, but somehow, kasabayan siya, no? Contemporary siya ni Juan Luna at saka ni Hidalgo. Actually, kasama siya, no? Nag-participate din siya sa isang art competition. Kaya lang hindi siya nanalo, no? Ang nakuha lang niya yung Consuelo de Bobo or Consolation Prize, no? So probably we've talked about our Rizal. He's one of our national heroes, of course, known author of the Noli and LPD, founded the La Liga Filipina, is an Filipino Estrada, member of the propaganda movement. Of course, we can describe him as anthropologist, auditory and visual artist, biologist, columnist, historian, linguist, ophthalmologist, polyglot, traveler, and writer. No, and of course, he also studied fine art at San Fernando. And at a very young age, meron na siyang tutor, no, or yes, may tutor na siya, or meron siyang teacher sa art na separate, no. So while he was studying at Ateneo, may separate siya lessons sa art, no. And among its accomplishments are the following, no, yan. So, sorry. So ito yung unang-unang nagawa niya, no. When he was 14 years old, nag-aaral siya sa Ateneo, Father Francisco de Paula Sanchez as his advisor, asked him to make a souvenir sa bisita na ng pare kay Father Leonard, no? And then, of course, si Father Sanchez, no, akala niya gagawa sa tula. And then, what Rizal made, gumawa siya ng isang sculpture. And this is the sculpture of Sacred Heart of Jesus, no, or sculpture of Sacred Heart. But as a souvenir, hindi yan nadala ni ni Father Leonard kasi nagmamadali siya, no, and naiwan. And for a quite time, no, for how many years, yan ay nasa Ateneo, no, nandun lang sa dormitory, no, parang di man pinapansin. And then later on, of course, he's now one of the national treasure or ginagamit at exhibit. Some of its work are found in Port Santiago, like this one, no. Okay, so most of this work, yung apat na to, Rizal made this sculpture when he was exiled in Dapitan, no. Ito yung wild fig, no. So, yan, no, yung boar. And then this one, mag-title yan, it's Mother Revenge. Yung aso, inawa niya yung what we call yung buhaya. Kasi yung kwento nito, yung Mother Revenge, no, when Rizal was in Dapitan, meron siyang 10 estudyante, no, mga bata, tinuturuan niya. And then may alaga silang tuta. And then this student of Rizal na nag-aaral, na estudyante niya, they go to river to bath, no, para maligo. And they are not aware na sumama yung tuta. And then yung tuta, kinain ng buhaya. Now, maybe to pacify them, gumawa ng sculpture si Rizal na pinakita yung nanay ng aso, pinapatay niya o inaaway niya yung buhaya. Kaya title niya The Mother Revenge, no? And this one is the Dapitan Girl, no? And somehow, Dapitan Girl, meron din tula about the Dapitan Girl, and that is referring sa naging wife niya, no? Si Josephine Bracken. And this one is referred to a certain saint, no? Si Saint Paul, no? So, as you can see, Rizal is somehow religious din siya, no? Okay? To continue, some of the work, no? These are some of the sculpture. And I think na-mention ko sa inyo, no, yung work ni Peter Bruegel, si Peter Bruegel or the President Bruegel, yung what we call yung talking about the Black Death, no? May counterpart si Rizal na sculpture ito. Ang title niyan, it's The Triumph of Death Over Science. Then, later on, dahil naging advanced yung medicine, so ito na yon, no? Pero yung original ito. Ito naman, The Triumph of Science Over Death. Kaya, as you can see, ito, yung kamatayan, binubuhat yung babae. Dito naman, yung babae, nakatungtong sa kamatayan, no? So, The Triumph of Science Over Death. So, these are the version of Rizal as a reaction to the work. Of course, parang ano ko lang yun, no? Reaction to the work of Peter Bruegel or Bruegel the Peasant, no? Yung referring to what we call the Black Death, no? Okay? And these are some of the sketches or painting, no? Yan. So, as you can see, no, and this one also, no? Ito yung kanyang kapatid, si Saturnina, the elder sister of Rizal. Pinainting niya. Marami siyang painting and some caricature. If you are familiar with about the story about the monkey and the tortoise, o yung unggoy at saka yung pagong, gumawa siya ng sketch noon or comic, no? Yung original title noon, it's what we call Lasingge et Tortua. Okay? Pero of course, Rizal was not a national artist, no? Hindi siya na-recognize. And I think, siguro in the future, pwedeng magkaroon siya ng posthumous, no, award as being one recognized as being a national artist, not only in literature, but also in visual art. Kasi sa literature, he has the novel, no, Lumitanchere and Elfidi, and the other work, yung annotation niya, and different poems, no. So Rizal was somehow can be compared as to what we call Michelangelo, parang Renaissance people siya, or Renaissance man, being what we call a polyglot. Okay? Now, from Dr. Jose Rizal, of course, this one is a national artist, si Fernando Amorsolo. And I think familiar kayo dito, di ba? Yung Inebra, San Miguel. So we're in the angel defeat the devil, no? Okay, so as you can see, no, before Inebra San Miguel was owned by the what we call the famous or the known Ayala Sobel, no, the Ayala. And parang ano nila si manggagawa nila si Amorsolo or somehow parang naging scholar nila, no? And of course, pinag-drawing siya, one of the brand, yung Inebra San Miguel, ayan yan, no? Until now, nandiyan pa rin yan, no? So imagine, nag-exist pa rin yan, no? So sino ba si Fernando Amorsolo? Some background, no? So of course, he's a Filipino visual artist. His humble beginning as an artist started when his father, Pedro Amorsolo, hit by a stray bullet and died, no? So dala ng pangangailangan, no? Para makumita siya, nag-drawing siya and then binibenta, no? This tragedy compelled him to earn a living to support his family as well as education, no? At age of 11, he drew sketches and sold them for 15 centavos while assisting his uncle, Fabian de la Rosa. So actually, Amorsolo, no, on the mother's side, sa Cuento family or sa middle name niya, they are family of artists, no, like si Fabian de la Rosa. Kaya lang yung uncle niya, si Fabian de la Rosa, was not recognized as a national artist. I do not know, no, hindi man discover yun, bakit hindi. Now, okay, in 1914, through his hard work as well as the support of its mother, si Bonifacia Cuento, no, ito yung surname nila, no, si Bonifacia, kapatid niya si Fabian, no, de la Rosa, Fabian de Cuento de la Rosa, no, who did embroider to earn a living, no. Pinsan pala. So Amorsolo earned his degree in fine art at the University of the Philippines School of Fine Art. And then nakapag-work siya kay Nasobel, kaya sama pinaaral siya sa ibang bansa. But when he applied in the Fine Art of Madrid, no, tinanggap siya bilang teacher, not a student, no. Ganun kagaling si Amorsolo. So, as you can see, kung titingnan mo, pwede mong makaklasify yung work niya, no. Pwedeng, since native siya ng Nueva Ecija, no, kaya farming yung doon, no. Kaya most of its work is something to do with planting rice. Lahat ng mga painting niya yan, no, are referring to a planting rice, no, iba't ibang version ng planting rice. Now, from planting rice, meron din siyang version ng nag-harvest, no, of fruit harvesting, yan, no. So these are the different version. Now, from fruit harvesting, meron din siyang about series of naglalaba or labandera, no. So these are the different labandera painting of what we call Fernando Amorsolo. Now, from labandera, meron din siyang mga nude painting, no. And as you can see, may certain models siya. Okay? And one of the greatest achievement, no, most of the presidential portrait, no, like Manuel Roas, Elpidio Quirino, and other president Manuel Roas, Diosdado Macapagal, Elpidio Quirino, and I think until the time of Marcos, no, siya yung nagpaint like in this picture, no, pinapakita na finishing touch about the portrait or what we call a certain president like Manuel Roas, no, Sergio Nesmeña, okay, yan, no, Elpidio Quirino, yan. So Ramon Magsaysay, no. So kung pupunta ka ng Malacanang, makikita mo, those are work of what we call Fernando Amorsolo. Now, from Fernando Amorsolo, we have Guillermo Tolentino, no. So, okay, kung nakikita nyo ito, these are referring to the Ilustrados. Ito yung pinakaunang artwork ni Guillermo Tolentino. Of course, Guillermo Tolentino was recognized being a national artist in terms of sculpture, not of painting, no. Pero he started by doing this parang printmaking, no. These are the Ilustrados. Makikita mo si Rizal, Marcelo H. del Pilar, Apolinario Mabini, and so on, and the priest, no, si Father Jose Burgos, and so on. Now, yun nga, no. So Guillermo Tolentino is a Filipino visual artist, contemporary of Amorsolo, who accidentally became known artist when its work, yung Filipinos Ilustres or Ilustrados, was transferred to lithographic stone by George Pineda, who printed 1,500 copies na kilala sa doon. And these are sold for 80 cents per copy, which then spread in every Filipino homes, no? Yun, parang nakilala siya. In 1973, So it was conferred the title of national artist, and among of its known sculpture were the following: yung iconic UP Oblation, I think kung nakapunta kang UP, Bonifacio Monument in Caloocan City, yung Sigaw ng Balintawak, and then yung President Manuel Rojas at the Memorial Sulker, and the Bus of Jose Rizal in UP, no, his campuses. Ito yung mga work niya. So if you've been in UP, no, kung nakapunta ka ng UP, makikita mo yan, UP Oblation. And this is one of the work of Guillermo Tolentino, no. And of course, before, no, sabi nila, the model here, it's the father of Fernando Poe Jr., yung si Fernando Poe Sr., no? Siya daw yung model. And later on, parang hindi naman. And this is when, kung papunta ka ng Manila, bago ka pumasok ng Manila or Quezon City, of course, makikita mo yan, no? Uh, sa ano, sa monumento. Yes? Yes, concern? May concern ba? Yes, may question?
Lagi na kaya kinawawa yung kusina. Nandun yung ano.
Okay. Ito, there's question. May ano lang pala, no? Okay, may question ba before I continue? May tanong ba? Okay. So nakikita pa rin yung PowerPoint natin? Okay, let me continue our discussions. Now, so other work of Tolentino, no, are the following sculpture, no. Yan, yung this one it's referring to a mother. Of course, this sabi niya subtitle nito is the motherland, no. And then si Gabriela Silang, and then a young child, and then yung what we call the motherland, no. Now, from Guillermo Tolentino, of course, known artist also, national artist, we have Napoleon Abueva. And some which popular or known work is this one, no? This is referring to what we call when Legazpi meeting the people in, so this is found in, no, in Cebu, no? And then this one, it's the monument in the Memorial Shrine. And this one in UP. And then yung sa Cross of Bataan, meron din siyang gawa doon, no? So that is what we call Napoleon Abueva. From Napoleon Abueva, we have also Ang Kyokok, no? So si Ang Kyokok naman, pwedeng tawagin natin is the Filipino Cubanist counterpart siya ni Pablo Picasso. So kung titignan mo yung work niya, yan, may Sari Manok, may what we call the Passion of Christ, may Watermelon, and so on. And then from Ang Kyokok, yung uncle ni what we call Fernando Amorsolo ay si Fabian de la Rosa, si Fabian Cuento de la Rosa. Okay? So kung titignan niyo some of the work of what we call Fernando Amorsolo are also influenced by its uncle, yung planting rice, no? And yung pag-paint niya na something to do with the story of the Filipino, no? And of course, yung work ni Carlos Botong Francisco from Antipolo City, no? And most the work of Carlos Botong Francisco are something to do with Andres Bonifacio, this one, no? And the other one, yung Blood Compact, and then Bayanihan, and then yung Harana, and then the first mass at Limasawa, yan, no? So kaya naging kilala si Carlos Botong Francisco because it's work, it's mural, no? But known si Carlos Botong Francisco in mural painting, no? Yung mga mural na, it's something to do with history or Philippine culture. Now, let's move to the Asian art or glimpse in the Asian art, no? So ito naman yung pag-uusapan natin, no? So may pagkakatulad kaya yung traditional Asian art sa Philippine art. Okay, let's go to Japan, no? So traditional Japanese art, of course, art in Japanese, tinatawag sa Bijutsu and yung craft yung Kogi, no, or Koji. So it was in 1885 the term Binguchi Koji or artistic craft, was used to stress the position of handicrafts as an art form and to distinguish it from the manufacturing industry, likewise to establish its cultural role as uniquely Japanese form of art. No? Then Genjutsu or the art was originally used to refer to the six skills, no? O yung tinatawag na Rikugi, no? Of course, kung familiar ko sa Japanese, no? Pero napakaganda ng ano ng Japan, no? Or even the language, yung Rikugi, such as moral behavior, music, archery, equestrian art, calligraphy, and mathematics. So yun ang mga kinukonsider na six skills or art in Japan, no? Yung Rikugi. So the Japanese art are reflected in the following, yung chado or yung pag ano ng cha, no? Or tea, way of tea. And then yung ikebana kado or traditional flower arrangement. And then with the shodo, the Japanese calligraphy, the bonsai or the patted miniature tree, origami, the art of folding piece of paper, yung ukiyo-e or type of woodblock print and paintings of the floating world. And then yung Yuchiwa, traditional paper pans, the haiku, yung tula, no? Paggawa ng tula, wherein it follow a certain syllable, no? And then sa traditional poetry. And then yung kireji, mountain scroll, yung kotane, Japanese porcelain, then yung chabana, the flower arrangement tea ceremony, and then the koto, the resonance instrument, and also the kabuki, the classic dance drama, and what we call the sumi, the ink and wash painting. So these are the art in Japan, no? Traditional. So first, yung sumi, yan. Sumi, very simple din yan, no? Kung titingnan natin, minimalism, no? Kasi yung sumi, it's usually in art, no? Ink lang yung ginagamit or colored ink, no? They don't use watercolor or wax or something, no? That's the what we call the sumi. Of course, in terms of their work, yan, no? Yung shodo, so the calligraphy, no? So the Japanese calligraphy, so it's also an art parang sa Chinese, no? Pwede rin yung sa Kapampangan na kulitan. And yung Chado is also an art for them. This is the way or traditional tea ceremony, no? Kasi napaka-importante ng pag-inom ng tea sa Japan, no? It's somehow it's very it symbolizes something. And of course yung origami, no? And of course we have the bonsai making and the traditional ikebana kado. Yung ikebana kado, it's the flower arrangement and the traditional doing of paper pan o pamaypay, yung tinatawag nilang uchiwa. And of course, the traditional chabana, the chabana is also a flower arrangement, but this is occasionally done during the tea ceremony. And then of course, we have the ukiyo-e, that is the traditional painting, no? The ukiyo-e. So very popular yan, no? Yung landscape. And then of course, they have what we call the kotani, the porcelain in Japan, no? Tinatawag naman kotani. And the koto, the instrument used in Japan, no? Very sa Japanese yan, yung koto. And then of course, they have the Japanese drama, which what we call the kabuki. Ibig sabihin ng ka, song, bu, dance, and ki, it's art, no? Kabuki. So this one was created or proponent niyan or founder niyan si Izumo no Okuni, no? Si Izumo no Okuni. It's the founder of the kabuki. Before, the kabuki was performed by men, no? Sila na tinatawag na geisha, no? Okay, so these are the Japanese art. From Japan, we'll move to China. Of course, alam natin na yung mga lantern na to are from China, no? Chinese art. So the traditional Chinese art in China or in Chinese, it's issue, and craft in Chinese is gongyi, no? So traditional Chinese art and craft are seen from bronze vessels. Later we will see those, no? Yung mga folk toys, embroidery, calligraphy, music, opera painting, yung kloisuni or kloison, the jade, use of jade, kites, and then the lacquerware, paper cuttings, porcelain, pottery, silks, and silk, which are the vivid reflection of their culture, likewise the embodiment of both the local people or in China, no? So bronze vessel, as it was actually done, no, or what I mean practice, 5,000 years ago, no, the bronze produced being delicate and decorative and so on, no. And then we have the China calligraphy, parang sa Japanese, refer to the four treasure of study like writing brass, ink snake, the swan paper, and the ink slab, no? Art sa kanila yan, no? And then we have the Chinese cloisonne or cloisonne, no? It's an animal artwork with primary color being blue. It is known for its use of high quality material, complex manufacturing process, and its use of bright and vivid color. And we have the Chinese jade, no? Very historical. Jade symbolizes merit, grace, dignity, occupies special position in the people or consciousness. It is bought to decorate rooms and so on. Okay? So sa China, when you talk about Chinese art, eto sila, no? So these are the Chinese traditional art. We have the Chinese bronze, yan, no? So napaka ano, no? Napaka intricate. So it reflects the Baroque period also, no? Or and then of course we have the Chinese cloisonne, no? Mga usually these are pottery, mga decorative, and they are usually color blue. And then the Chinese jade, no? Chinese jade yan, no? Yung jade kasi sa kanila, very ano siya, it symbolizes charm or being lucky, no? And considered as that treasure from God, no? And then, of course, so Chinese embroidery is also one, no, of the Chinese art, together with the Chinese kites and the Chinese lantern, no. So, so these are the Chinese embroidery, no, traditional, no. And then of course, yung kite, no, may kite festival sa China, yung so last 2020 they celebrated the 37th Weifang International Kite Festival wherein somehow nung hindi pa pandemic, different countries they go in Weifang to join no this kite festival, no. So yung mga kite nila, no, iyan ang traditional kite and this one. And of course yung mga Chinese lantern. And then they have also what we call the pottery, no? The Chinese painting, the porcelain, and also the pottery, no, are the following Chinese art. So yan. So this is a traditional painting which similar to Japan na yung sumi. Sa kanila tinatawag yan shumo, no? If in Japan it is sumi, use ink only. In China we call it as shumo, no? And then we have also the porcelain, no? Traditional Chinese porcelain. Parang mga ano din yan, yung mga closing, no? And of course, yung pottery. These are traditional pottery. Okay? So these are the traditional art in China. Now, from China, we move to Korea, no? So traditional Korean art and craft. Art in Korea, tinatawag sa misul, and the craft is shubang, no? I do not know if I pronounced them correctly because somehow I think there is a correct pronunciation from Korea, no? So the art of the Eastern Korean is presented by tomb mural of of Goryeo around 37 to 668 BCE or before the Christian era, which contain valuable clues to the belief of the early Korean people about humanity and universe, as well as the artistic sensibilities and techniques. The artists of Goryeo around 1918 to 1392 were interested in capturing Buddhist icons and bequeaths some great masterpiece. No, the literati elite of Johnson, no, placed in Korea, was more attracted not only to the idealist landscape but also to the symbolism of plant and animals, such as the four noble lords Nisanjuya, named in the orchids, chrysanthemum, bamboo, and the plum tree, and the 10 creatures of longevity, or tinatawag siyang Xinjiangsheng, including crane, tigers, and peace, and so on. So these are some, no? So known artist in Korea, si Kim Hong-do, no? Pen niya Damwon, no? Yung work niya, isa sa mga work niya, yan, yung Korean wrestling, no? One of the traditional, no? It is found in Junction, 18th century art. sorry. Okay? And then of course, yung painting, similar, no? Parang pareho din ng sumi at ng suyo, no? O ng sumi ng Japan. Same principles. And then, of course, they have traditional pottery. No? So during the Japanese invasion in Korea in 1592 to 1598, somehow the Japanese they were able to influence no yung mga Korean. Same thing with the Chinese. So the Janjing of Jolyang is one no of the period wherein known for what we call pottery, no, yung Janjing of Julian and one of Jonglabok, no, and then the third one is the Korean pottery in Bunchong, no. So these are pottery wherein somehow they are influenced by the Japanese. So as you can see, parang pareho lang ng ng pottery ng China and Japan, no. Of course, so these are other no this durable and practical wooden chests used for storing clothes is lavishly decorated with a mother of pearl inlay design, no. Yan known sa ano yan, Korea, no, nilagyan ng damit. And also yung mga parang bracelet, no. And of course, Korean also very popular sa kanila yung tinatawag ng gugak. No? The term gugak, which there means national music, refer to the traditional Korean music and other related art forms, including song, dances, and ceremonial movement. The history of music in Korea should be as long as Korean history itself, but it was only in the 15th century, during the reign of King Shinjong of the Joseon dynasty, around 1392 to 1910, that Korean music became the subject of serious study and was developed into a system resulting in the creation of first mensural notation system called the Jungjambu in Asia. No, so the traditional music it's typically classified in several types, like the legitimate music called the Jungjak or Jungja, no, which enjoyed by the royalty and the aristocracy of Joseon, no, and then the folk music including the Pasori, the Sanjo, and the Japga, the Jongjae, or the court music and dance performed for the king and celebrated state events. Music and dance connected with shamanic and Buddhist tradition, such as this Puri, Sumnyum, and Gyumpe, no, and the poetic love song literary or about the literati elite, such as the Gangok and Sijo. Of course, this is the traditional dance in Korea, no, yung pan dance. Tinatawag siyang buche chumi o buche chum, no? And then similar to koto, yung kagayum, no? Musical instrument, sorry. Similar to koto, yung kagayum. And then this one is influenced by Chinese, no? Haigum. And then the janjung, and then the senap, and then the piri, no? Or a flute, no? So these are some of the instruments found in Korea. Okay? So I think that's the end of our discussion. That's all, folks. These are our references. Okay, let's